So some of the tools that I use, and we'll walk through it over here on the toolbar. Some of the tools that I use are gonna be like the trend line tool, right? This trend line tool, I don't actually use it for trend lines. I use it to actually mark off where buyers take over or where sellers take over. This tool is almost like one of your main drawing tools that you can kind of use, right? I kind of use this to kind of highlight certain areas. We have the horizontal line tool. I use this to kind of mark off my support and my resistance areas. You can see right around here that I just dropped one off, and it's just a little line that kind of goes from left to right. And essentially what this line is supposed to signify, like we can see right here that right here, basically where we are with price action. If I hit the settings icon, which I don't know why it's not working. Settings isn't popping up, but normally when settings pops up, you can go ahead and log the coordinates. Don't know what's going on, so we'll kind of get it as precise as possible. But QPs are institutional, fundamental, and technical support and resistance. We'll get it as close as possible. But essentially, when you hit that setting icon, you're supposed to be able to kind of get it. So you can see right here that we have 2 areas of support. This is the most recent. This is the current. This is supposed to be 500. We're at 510, but you get it. And essentially, if we break this, we're supposed to continue and go to the next area. Outside of this, I use the rate tool probably like when I mark off an entry. Like for example, you see how we gapped up? I'm anticipating that we should come back down, but obviously spread is kind of high right now, so we're not gonna actually look to buy. But in the example, let's just say we come back all the way down here and we retest. I would use this rate tool to mark off entry and exit, which will lead me into the next tool that I go ahead and use. I use the long position to calculate my risk to reward. So let's say I entered here and my stop loss is down here. It would look like for me something along the lines of this, and then we would drag it up. If we took this trade from last week, essentially we would be floating 82 pips, and you can see the risk to reward, how it kind of pans out and how it looks, right? We risk 20 pips to get 82 pips, and the risk to reward ratio is a 3.9, which is basically almost like a 1 to 4. You always want to add a 1 in front of the number because it's based off of entry. So this essentially would be like almost a 1 to 3 or a 1 to 4. The more entries, the more numbers you add in. Outside of that, the next tool that I use is obviously Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci, you can see it here, and you can see, long story short, the levels, if you know, you know, they're color coordinated to the T for a reason. These colors are not for no reason. What we'll look at next within this family as well, I don't really use anything too much. I use fib expansions, but this is a little bit more advanced. But this is another tool that we use. This is only for the advanced people. You can see that we're disrespecting the QP, which means that we're gonna potentially go down. I don't use none of these wave pattern shits, not to diss anybody or anything like that. I don't use those shits at all. I use the long, the short, pretty much from here, and the price range tool. For anybody who doesn't know how to read pips, it's very simple. Use the price range tool and you kind of range and drag it up. So literally from here to here, it would be 25 pips. You can see that the big fat blue 25 right there, it kind of signifies it. Very simple, very easy. So from here to here, this is 25 pips. You kind of get the gist with that tool there. Going down to the next, I don't use anything else from here. This is where it gets kind of lit because you can get as creative as possible. The arrow tool, I like to use this for trend lines. Boom, you can see here that we're addressing the slope of a trend. The next tool that I actually use in here is one of my favorite, which is the polyline tool. I use this to kind of illustrate my market structure, right? And there's another tool that I combine with this when I have my Fibonacci sequences that line up to kind of make it make sense within structure. But you can see me drawing market structure and everything, and then you can see kind of going up. You can see here that we ended up breaking the trend line, retesting the trend line, and then exploding off, right? When I combine this with the Eclipse tool, right, it kind of lets me know. Obviously, I'm in the uptrend, and this was a downtrend. So if I was supposed to actually be doing this for real, this would be in red to let me know that this was a downtrend. And then this part that we broke the trend line right here, this would be in green. I would actually be highlighting these areas at the peaks, and I'll be making them in red with the Eclipse tool to signify that, boom, this is a market structure area. But I would only do that once I have alignment with my fibs. And then boom, you can see right here that we broke, making this high, and then this is the first high or low. So then boom, this would be a high, right? Because we actually broke this previous lower high right here. So let me kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about. This was the lowest point in the market that we came, right? And then buyers kind of came and kind of did the transition. So you can see here that from here, this first spike up right around here, if I was just kind of delete it and show you guys, right? And stop being fucking lazy, excuse my French. You would be able to see right here that boom, we have boom, 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 boom. Right around here, this is exactly where the downtrend ended at. So we would double click on the Eclipse tool, we would end it there, and then we would start drawing. We would draw with the same color essentially, And then once we're done, we would change the color. You can see here that we got a retest of the QP, and goddamn, we're going long, so we're gonna go even higher, shouldn't we? And then boom, we would do it in green like this. You can see the green is gonna kind of illustrate the new trend that we went ahead and began from there. Outside of that, the arrow, I kind of use this like, when I'm pointing at things or when I want to kind of point out to certain areas. It is what you make it with that tool, right? The trend line tool. We have box to kind of draw supply and demand zones. So this is kind of key as well. I draw them from body to wick, but we'll go into details on that a little bit better. You can see here that boom, we broke right here. We retested here, and then we kind of shot up. What else do I use? I use the ellipse tool, use the rectangle tool, use the arrow tool. I think I covered everything here. Boom, right around in here, I probably use the call out tool the most to kind of label areas. So like you'll see me, I'll label this area like HL, like I know that this is a higher low, and then I'll put it right here, and obviously higher high. I'll kind of use this for like labeling purposes, and then boom. So we got, let me see. My pre-market checklist is like, okay, do I have market structure? Yes. Did we do a transition of trend? Yes. Do I have a QP basically where we entered at? Yes, the 750 QP is there. As you can see before, the 500 is here. So yes, QP criteria, yes. So we broke a QP, we respected that support, boom. Same thing that we're kind of doing here, yes. Did we do a transition of trend? Yes. Are we at a higher low? Yes. Do I have a supply zone? Yes. Do I have a candlestick pattern? Yes. You can see right around here in the optimal area that we have what's called we have a lot of wicks, which signifies rejection. The wicks on the bottom are going to signify seller's exhaustion. The wicks on the bottom of a bullish candle are going to signify buyer's rejection. So you can see they both in agreement rejected this area that they should have based on what we transitioned. They rejected because they were retesting the area and then momentum took over. Boom. So you can see there. Do I have a supply zone? Yes. Cool. Anything else outside of that? It is what you make it within these tools, right? Obviously the pencil tools to lock it, so you stay in drawing mode. This is to kind of lock it. Boom. Sometimes you want to get naked. This is like my favorite part. It's like looking at somebody naked, your favorite person naked. You get it? But yeah, throwing back on the technicals on there. So we got market structure, we got trend lines, we got zones, we got QPs, and everything of the such. So those are pretty much my pre-market conditions, making sure that I understand what I'm looking at with the technicals and letting the technicals actually speak to me so that way I'm able to sit on my hands. You can see on this bigger time frame here that essentially, right, like we're in an uptrend, but we already made the higher low from here. So this will just be getting what we call a continuation trade from here to kind of go up. But we'll go into that later, details on the